listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. I wish you guys could see the cute kitty sitting in my lap right now. If you hear purring, it's because I am not alone at the microphone. Elvis is here with me. Hey, you guys write the best reviews. Listen to this one from Gia on iTunes. I am from India. I found Jeanette when I prayed to God for someone who could tell me how to know more deeply about LOA. I found her blog and I'm hooked since then. It's always open in my browser. I am so happy and grateful to listen to Jeanette on her podcast. Just listen to her and you'd know she has practiced it and not faking the bookish knowledge. She goes on, Gia, thank you for making my day. I am feeling the love. What I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to offer a couple of tips on how to rock your manifesting party without having to hire an LOA coach. I often mention where you can find us. We're on LOAcoaches.com. Oh my gosh, I just did it again. I have a very strong love for law of attraction coaches. I think the work we are doing in the world, I could go on and on about it. I love what we do. I love being one. But there are ways you can really do well without having to hire an LOA coach. There are a small handful of things I notice that create a lot of clients for us LOA coaches. I'm going to tell you what some of those things are so you can start rocking your own party without having to get someone else to tell you what you might be doing that's holding up your process. And I'm not saying everyone does all of these all the time, but just saying, I see these three things in particular a lot. And you know, what we all focus on in conscious creation work is all the cool stuff like dreaming big, getting clear on our desires, getting to the essence or the heart of it. We always talk about amping up our appreciation skills because that is so crazy cool, powerful when we do. And we share all sorts of manifesting processes to help us get lined up with our desire and all that stuff. It's well and good. That is time very well invested. You won't go wrong with any of that. But what I wanted to share in this episode is that there are a couple of things that if you nailed them, even just one of these things, you'd see serious progress in your manifesting results. And these three things are not sexy. They're not. They're probably not new to you either, but they are highly, highly underrated keys to our successful manifesting. All right, I'm just going to dive right in because I could keep talking about all the other stuff we do focus on, and it is good stuff, but these are the things that bring clients to my door. Okay, the first one I wanted to share with you today, it's awareness. You know how many people don't actually know what they're vibrating? A lot. I'm laughing because it happens to me too, more than a few times. We think we're dialed on what we want, but we're really dialed on fear that we won't get it or anxiety about what we think it's going to take to get it, in which case I would recommend the episode about minding your own business on this same podcast. Or sometimes we're dialed on what we don't want, just straight up. We're dialed on what we don't want. Abraham says every subject has two ends. There's the having it end and the not having it end. And lots of us think we've picked up the right end of the stick. Like for money, we think we got the money end, but we're really focused on not having the money. We're focused on needing the money or being frustrated because we haven't figured out this money thing yet. Or being worried about money. We got the wrong end of the stick. And clients will insist to me, no, really, I'm dialed on the money. But you know what? If we were dialed there, you guys, that's what we'd be having. If you're not having it, it's worth checking your frequency, your vibrational frequency. And that requires awareness, self-awareness. It's easy to be aware of what someone else is doing, isn't it? But our self can be a little trickier. Being honest with yourself about what your dominant thoughts and feelings are. That's all we're talking about here. Being willing to spot those gremlins that try to redirect your attention to what's wrong instead of what you're wanting to create. The good news is this. Developing a greater vibrational awareness can be as simple as noticing how you feel. That's it. Because our emotional guidance system is always giving us feedback about where we're dialed. If we're feeling good, we're on the right track. If we aren't feeling fabulous, we've got room for improvement. Pretty simple, huh? But so many of us have been conditioned not to pay attention to or to care how we feel. We were trained to get out there and get it done no matter how we feel. No one cared how we felt. They just taught us to ignore that stuff, follow the rules, do what's expected, grit and bear it. This is how you get it done. Rinse and repeat. But conscious creators know better. We know that old programming isn't actually serving us. We know that how we feel is a direct indicator of what we're creating. And when we are willing to care how we feel, and we take time to retrain ourselves to pay attention to that on a more regular basis, then we can get honest with ourselves about where our attention is really focused, and thus what we're really creating. I've got a story on this. Maybe you've heard it before. Remember the time that I thought I was dialed on a new client? This was, a couple years into my practice. I had this method for calling in a new client whenever I had an opening on my roster. I'd just close my eyes and I'd feel what it felt like to get a new client. I knew exactly what it felt like. It had happened enough times. It was a strong feeling. I really appreciated it. It was easy for me to tune into that. And so I'd tune into that, how it feels to get a new client. And within 24 to 48 hours, someone would appear. So I did that. I did my routine. A couple days later, later that week, I was talking with a colleague and I realized it's been, can you hear me? That was a little shrill. It had been 3 or 4 days and my new client hadn't shown up. They were like clockwork. It was a nice, simple, easy process. Just feel it and let it go and they would come. And here it had been, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 days, but they were well overdue. My new client hadn't shown up. And I was like, oh, what's going on? But I knew not to give it any more attention than that because I certainly didn't want to activate no clients or where's my client? I didn't want that end. I'm not picking up that end of the stick. So I let it go. Didn't give it much more attention. I just went back to work. And then shortly after, I want to say a couple days later, I finished 2 really big projects that I'd been working on that were really taking up a lot of my time. And once they were off my desk, this was totally spontaneous. I didn't consciously think this. The thought popped into my head, now I'm ready for my new client. And in that moment, I felt the truth of it. Before, I was just going through the motions because I had an empty spot. That's when you're supposed to call in a client, I thought. So I did, but I wasn't really feeling it. At that time, I would have told you that I was. I didn't have the awareness to recognize that I wasn't truly ready or excited for a new client because I had a full plate. I would have argued I was properly dialed in. It wasn't until I truly dialed in that I realized the difference. So, and I teach this stuff, you guys. This was me. It happens to the best of us. Some people, they just don't realize what they're vibrating until someone else repeats it back to them. And it takes a special someone to be able to do that. If it's your spouse or best friend, it's not always received well. Sometimes it really does take a coach or a mentor or a manifesting buddy, someone else that you might trust. But that's the first time they hear it when you reflect it back to them. It's an awareness thing. I'm telling you, lack of it, it's keeping me in business. Here's another thing that's tripping up some of my fellow creators. Okay, this is going to sound, well, you might not believe me. Some of you will, though. Some of you have already experienced this challenge, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. High five to anyone else who has been here and done this. But the rest of you, you might roll your eyes at me. But I'm telling you, it's a real thing. What I'm talking about is being able to receive what you want. It takes skill. I'm not joking. You think it's going to be the easiest thing in the world to say yes to what you want, to let it in and start living that good thing, whatever it is. But when it happens, I was going to say it will confront you. But you know what? Not everyone, not all the time, but you'd be surprised how often this challenges manifestors to have what you want. It's a thing. It kind of reminds me, this isn't the most perfect analogy, but it kind of reminds me how in rescue work, when someone would adopt one of our foster animals, they'd thank us up and down for making their new family member possible. They'd be like, oh my gosh, thanks for rescuing this puppy. And we'd be like, our part was easy. You're the one doing the rescuing. You're the one with the real work ahead. That's to care for them for the rest of their lives. That is a lot of poop to pick up. It's a lot of dog walks. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of food to buy and vet care to make possible. Okay, I told you that analogy wasn't really good. But what I'm trying to say is this, that sometimes the easiest part of this whole manifesting process is to call our desire to our door. That's sometimes the easiest part, letting it in and living with it day to day, saying yes to that level of a good life. I'm just saying, you got to have some receiving skills to pull that off. You have to know your worthiness. You have to feel deserving. You have to be comfortable letting life be that good to you. It's a thing. I've experienced it myself. Raising your game in that way, it isn't talked about very often because most of us think we're going to have no problem letting our manifested desire in. But anyone who has ever experienced having what you want only to see it go poof in the night, or maybe it doesn't disappear on you, but you kind of find ways to ruin it after a short while. Like, oh my gosh, this guy, he leaves his socks everywhere and he never remembers to buy groceries and I have no time to myself, or however we might ruin Mr. or Mrs. Right. I'm saying it's a thing to say yes to your dream come true and to let it be that good. Receiving skills, they are so highly underrated. There is a book that can help with it. I think it's Amanda Owen who wrote, or is it Andrea? Oh, I always get her name wrong. Power of Receiving. It's a good book. And we do have a course on this in the Good Vibe University library. And of course, any self-love or worthiness practice can go a long way in resolving this issue as well. So, receiving, if you don't know if you're good at it, then you probably aren't. I cracked myself up. Okay, I want to get to the third one because you know me, I like short episodes. Okay, the third thing that keeps me in business as an LOA coach is your resistance. Your resistance to what you don't want. Your resistance to reality. You don't even know how to let it go. You don't even know you're carrying it lots of times. I have to point it out to you. And then when you see it, it seems so obvious to you. And then you get it, that that's what's been holding up your party. And letting go of our resistance, it sometimes is easy just to, when we realize we've been pushing against what we don't want. We're still in step one, the contrast mode. I know it sounds so basic, but I'm telling you, it trips a lot of us up. Sometimes it does take a little more work than just realizing that we've engaged resistance. It depends on how much we've been flexing our letting go muscles. Ooh, remember my massage therapist? I wrote a blog post a couple years ago. It's called The Time I Got Schooled About Allowing. Yeah, she was a rock star letting goer. She knew how to stop dancing with what she didn't want. In fact, I don't know that she ever did dance with what she didn't want. And I will say, I was a novice compared to her. And I was an LOA coach at the time. I probably still am a novice compared to her. I'm telling you, she was a rock star. This is a skill that I could get better at myself. It's what keeps my coach in business. So yeah, if you want to save yourself some time wondering why your big gig isn't coming together, look for one or more of these three, we'll call them underrated keys to successful manifesting instead of how to put your LOA coach out of business. But that is why I'm sharing these things with you, because I want you to succeed. I want you to succeed easily and soon and big. I want you to feel your power to create whatever you want. I want you to revel in your success stories. I want to revel in them with you. I want you to celebrate your skills at focusing whatever you desire into 3D reality. And I want you to inspire others with how well you do this yourself. I want to see you own your God-given abilities to make dreams come true, with or without me. Can you feel my love for you? And for this process? Man, it's big. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and happy manifesting, everyone.